Well, we had a long wait there, for what we don't know, but finally we're out at sea, and I just learned that El Nido is surrounded by something like 45 islands, and when you come out and start on any of the tours, you are immediately aware of how you are surrounded by the islands. Of course, until you actually get between these land masses, they look as if they're all joined together. I'll just show you. Over there you can see the gap between the islands, but for the others you have to be close up. And all of these boats are all doing tours like the one that we're on now. So El Nido as a city actually depends on all of this, on all of this tourist traffic and these boats. Surprisingly, it's quite easy to start taking all of this for granted. These islands appear to be more populated, knowledge of which one is which, as you can see over there. Then there are the others, like the one straight ahead now. There's no way that that can be populated, it rises straight out of the sea. In amongst that there may be a tiny beach which may be visited by one or some of the tourist boats. Stranger, probably, if you talk to one of the team of guys, the crew that are helping us now, that are caring about our safety, they probably would still think of going abroad as an overseas foreign worker as being their dream, and yet here we are now enjoying our dream. Beautiful weather, beautiful sky, the sea is very calm. We're going out to a beach. We'll be dropped at the beach. We'll have 30 minutes, 40 minutes to swim and explore. You don't explore the island, by the way. You go and you enjoy the beach, and you enjoy the sea. You enjoy snorkeling in the sea, right up close to and safe within the beach itself. They don't encourage you to go and explore on the island. First of all, there isn't enough time, And secondly, my suspicion is that even if you could explore the island, they wouldn't want you to do that, because somebody would go and fall and break a leg or get somehow incapacitated, and then they'd have to go and find them, and how on earth would they do that? On the last video that I showed you, or certainly maybe part of this video, depends on how Beth edits it, but I mentioned about one of these boats actually went down close to one of the beaches, and no one was lost. All the passengers apparently were saved, and that was because the crew advise you time and again to keep your life jacket on. So while some may be saying, yeah, well, I'm a strong swimmer and those are warm waters, I know that research has found that people who are dumped in even warm water will not last long, because the body temperature needs to be higher than the water, and you very quickly cool down once you get into that water. Our last stop on our last trip, I found that the water had cooled considerably towards the end of the day. It was the last stop. So I'm a warm body type. I can take the heat much more than I can take the cold. I'm absolutely no good. I'm a wimp when it comes to being in the cold. Now, because everybody had their life jacket on, then everyone was safe. So I noticed this time that this is a different boat that we're on now, and so I noticed the things that are different about it. And one of the things that I notice is a little sign that says, "Wear, hold your life jacket." So even if you're going to be one of the macho types who are strong swimmers, quite used to being on the water, you might discard your life jacket, but it should be within easy reach, if not held. I notice now, if I look around, that everybody has their life jacket on, but then we are actually at sea. Now you can see that the islands are separating, and you get more of an idea of how they are all separate islands. Look at this one that we're approaching now, that I said rises out of the sea. And even that seems to have an island behind it, and then a third island behind, which is obviously not joined to this tallest one. Looks like there's a boat that's moored close to that island there. Noticed since we've been here that there is a terrific number of foreigners here, and they're from all different places. Korea seems to be very well, very big visitors for the Philippines. Everywhere that we've been, we've always seen lots of Koreans. And because they have a particular lifestyle dress sense, you can tell them. I mean, apart from anything, they are very white, strangely, since Westerners have always said that Asians are yellow. Never quite understood that. Never saw a yellow Chinese person. And you can tell who the various visitors are. The women that you see mostly from the Koreans are very, very slender, aloof, often very professional in their garb for going to sea. They have black, what look like black wetsuits. They're not, but they're very much equipped for doing this. And then when they get to the destination, each one of the beaches that we go to, they quickly strip off, and they're not shy, not reserved, and have bikinis, and which show a lot. British, I notice they're about the build that I am, if not just a little bigger. There's a good way of putting it. A lot of tattoos that I notice with the British. Now, the Americans, to me, all look like giants. The young Americans, very tall. The women, statuesque. Because as soon as you get away from Philippine Asian women who are very tall, even at 5'2" or 5'4", that's tall for a Filipino. As soon as you start looking at Americans, they do seem like giants. The young men, very athletic looking, powerfully built and tall, and the young women are like Amazons. To my eyes, now that I've been so conditioned, especially being on the hall where I see actually very, very few Western women, very few. Then when you get to a certain age in America and possibly in Britain as well, because of habits of, for my money, drinking, smoking, health deteriorates very, very fast after 50. So that's when you start putting on a lot of weight and you pay the price in health. And I say that because I'm about 150 pounds, which I've been for most of my life. I remember once that I got really heavy at 165 pounds. That didn't last for too long. I don't like to carry a lot of weight, so I got rid of it. I just answered a comment from a message from someone who was hoping, not asking for advice. I'm offering this because it was inspired by his message. He was saying he was 110 pounds overweight. 110 pounds overweight. Can you imagine that? He is carrying such a lot of weight. And I recommended a movie that I've recommended many times to people who are overweight. I think my guess is that the title puts them off because they become slightly offended. The title is Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. And when you suggest that people should look at this, they take that as an evaluation of what you think of the conditions that they're in, which is not the truth. I recommend that film. It was made, it's the success story of an Australian man who, his own evaluation of himself, self-evaluation was that he was fat, sick and nearly dead. He was on 4 or 5 or possibly 6 different kinds of medication. He was fairly well off. Well, he was very well off and could indulge everything. If he wanted to drink, he drank. And if he wanted to have a bucket of ice cream, he damn well had it. And if he wanted to eat the whole cake, he had it. He was a party. He was a party guy. And he realized that he couldn't go on like that his health was suffering, he was well overweight. So, he took an extreme view. He bought an SUV, a modest thing. He bought a juicer, a small generator that he could run the juicer off. And he went on tour, what an Aussie would call walkabout almost, in the US. When he went on the US, he was there for 3-4 months, as I remember, and he only survived on the juicer. That was it. He bought fresh fruit, veggies, put them through the juicer, and that was what he did. And he talked to people, and he talked to people about their weight, about what they thought about the way that they lived, and whether they were overweight or not. And it was an incredibly interesting movie. Made very simple, edited very simple, and he saved his own life. And he also talked to other people who he persuaded just by his example, and I think saved their lives too. Very, very good movie. Don't be offended by that title. I don't get commission for recommending it, but once I saw that movie, I actually went on the juicer myself and was on it for quite a few months. Was never so healthy. In the end, I did modify the diet slightly. I lived mostly on the juice, but what I did was I had one cooked meal. I was living alone at the time, so it was easy. I had one lightly cooked meal, but even then I had the same ingredients that I was putting through the juicer, but I'd add a little meat, like a can of one of those very small cans of chicken or tuna, something like that, and that's what I would put into the pan. Very, very light stir fry, only heating it up really, and I used olive oil. Boy, I was never so well healthy. I also, of course, did a lot of exercise. I worked out most days, and I was a cyclist. I didn't have a car working at the time. I went everywhere on my bike, and it was a very healthy lifestyle. But even for me, at my heaviest, as I said, around 160 or 175, the weight just dropped off me. I lost, I think, on my recollection now, I lost about 17 plus pounds. So, talking about the islands and a healthy lifestyle, seemed obvious to segue into that. Foreigner in the Philippines, thanks for logging in. Bye for now.